This is the plaintiff, Troy Runyon. He says the defendant hired his limo company for 2 dates, and her friends were rude, drunk, and obnoxious to his driver. They even tried to blackmail him into getting something for free, or they'd write him up with a bad review. Bottom line, the defendant stopped payment. He wasn't paid, so he's suing the rude woman for the $235 he's due. This is the defendant, Alicia Hunter. She says one of the drivers started puking his guts out on the ride, and the other one didn't listen to her instructions for some reason. The rides were not professional. The drivers were terrible, and she doesn't see why she should pay for a service that was downright atrocious. She's accused of driving a limo driver crazy.
Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Troy Runyon, doing business as Imperial One Limousine. You are suing Alicia Hunter for $235, $215 for limousine services, and $20 for a stolen champagne glass as a result of driving her around after her wedding day that did not go so well. Let's discuss. Tell me what happened.
Okay, well, on September 9th, I received a phone call from Alicia Hunter. We made an oral agreement over the phone, and she made the reservation for 2 separate reservations, one on October 8th and one on October 10th. October 8th went a little rocky, but ended without incident.
What was October 8th? Bachelorette party?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it ended without incident, although during the event, the driver did get sick as a result of some fast food that he ate, but they had stopped to use the restroom, and he excused himself from them at that time.
Okay, so now we're on October 10th. It's wedding day.
Right, October 10th, the night of their wedding.
Night of their wedding. So you're not employed to drive the bride to the ceremony or to this or that. You're employed to drive the bride and the bridal party or her friends afterwards.
Right.
To go party.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'm quite certain she
Man,
wasn't.
you've got a lot of energy, honey. Okay.
So anyway, the driver that was driving the second night was
A different driver.
22 years senior of the first driver. And he is the person that I would typically send if I have a problem group.
Okay.
So anyway, I sent him on the 10th. Shortly after he got there, he called me upset, and he doesn't really get rattled, so I really listen to him, if he calls. At the beginning, he was just a little disturbed. He called me, and in the background, I could hear a female voice, which I believe was Alicia, but I don't know for sure, telling him that I told them that they did not have to pay until after the event. That's not our policy.
That's not the case.
We never do that.
I haven't met the limo company that says that.
So anyway, he called about that. She did not have the money upon arrival. He asked if he could take them to the ATM, which normally we wouldn't do that because now we've got them in the car.
Go to the ATM before I arrive.
Right.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
So I said, well, okay, we will in this instance. Just go ahead and take them to the ATM. So he called me a little bit later. One of the people in their group was very nasty, using profanity within 10 minutes of the time the driver dealt with them. He said the driver has a little bit of a white goatee-ish beard thing, and when he was asking them for payment, one male member of her group said, Colonel Sanders, because we called him Colonel Sanders, everybody get in, and yanked the door of the limo open.
Okay, who's that?
I'm
Who do
not
you
sure.
think is
I
saying
wasn't
that?
out there. I was still getting ready at that point.
Okay,
so.
who's the guy with you?
This is my husband, Greg.
All right, yeah, stand up while you're sitting down and relaxing while she has to fight this fight alone. Okay, so go on. That's not a good sign for the future. Go ahead.
Right, so look,
Let me ask you a question. Where is that driver right now?
He's in the hospital, in a hospital rehab facility.
Unrelated, he had an accident, a motorcycle accident?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my understanding is that we have arranged through our court staff to have him testify through Skype?
Yes.
Through the computer?
Yes.
Can we hear from him? Can I? Hello.
Hello, good morning.
How are you feeling?
I've been better.
How long have you been in the hospital?
4 weeks.
How long do they say you're going to be?
Another 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, there's an end in sight. I hope that you continue to progress. You're going to drive a motorcycle again after this?
Absolutely.
Oh, Lord. Just never
See,
ends.
I told you.
Men and their donor cycles. All right. I want to talk to you about that evening that we're in court about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Talk to me and tell me from the beginning, what was the night like?
The woman came down and introduced herself as the bride. I introduced myself as Tony, her driver. I'll be with them this evening and taking them where they'd like to go. They wanted to go to a place called Club Kennedy. They came out. By the time they got out to the car, it was probably 9:45. At that time, I informed them we have a contract we have to sign, and I have to collect money for Troy. So at that point, if I could go to an ATM machine.
Okay, so you go to the ATM machine, and or they go to the ATM machine, you take them, and they take out how much money?
I forget the amount of money. I'm not.
How much money was it?
$215.
$215. And then do they hand you the $215?
$215, which I put in my pocket.
Okay.
At that time, she instructed me she wanted to go to a store across the street from the hotel.
Okay.
I tried to tell her there was no store across the street from the hotel. She insisted there was.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Before that happens, when the dispute is going on about the money and the payment beforehand, according to Troy, somebody in her party got a little nasty and personal with you. Tell me about that.
One of the groomsmen had opened the door of the car quite abruptly and then used foul language and said, basically to hell with him, get in the car, we don't have to pay him. At that point, I shut the door on the car and told him he was out of the equation.
This is the fellow who used the term blank Colonel Sanders.
Correct.
Okay. Now, had everybody, had everybody, I shouldn't assume, had everybody been drinking?
Yes, man, they were all intoxicated.
All right, so then after that, what happens?
And we never got this door. At that point, she said she wanted to go back to the hotel because she had forgotten her ID. And I had Troy on the phone at that time, and we were discussing the situation, and I didn't feel...
But what was the situation?
They were getting a little rowdy in the back of the car. Telling me, you don't know where you're going, you're lost, you don't know what the hell you're doing. And, at that point, I just felt like, this is just going to get worse.
Okay.
When we got back to the hotel, Troy and I agreed it'd just be better to give them their money back.
So you gave them back the $215, and how did that end? Like, were they yelling and they didn't want to take the money, or they agreed that best to just let it go?
The money back to her husband. I can't remember his name, but he was arguing between me and his wife. She slapped him in the face.
What, in front of you?
He turned around. She was having words with him about her night being ruined and so on and so forth, and she slapped him across the face.
I did not.
Okay.
And then she stormed off into the hotel. The rest of the party got out of the car, and the guy who called me Colonel Sanders is now, he's calling me everything. I'll kick your ass, you're a punk, you're like this. And
Okay.
I didn't feed into it. I just, Troy was listening to all this. I had him on speakerphone. Troy heard the whole thing.
Okay.
She and her friends yelling at me, and I backed away. I just would, listen, I'm going to call it night. I'm going to leave. And he started coming toward me. Well, he had a cigarette in his mouth. He was going to flick it at me.
Wait, this is who?
So
The groomsman or the groom?
The groomsman. So I closed the gap on him and just, listen, don't go there. Let's not do this. Just leave it go and call it a night, all right? I'm done.
Okay.
He did back away, and I stepped off, and then another gentleman approached me and, said, Yankees, you're all the same. And, where that came from, I don't know. And I informed him the war was over, we won.
The war is over, we won. All right, hold on there. Talk to me. What's going on?
First of all, most of that isn't true.
Most of it, okay.
Yeah. Should I start on Friday night, or should I
You can
start
start on Friday night.
Sunday? Okay. Friday night, we started out, we're going to go to this club in Tampa. It's 39 minutes away, and we asked him to take us there. It took him 2 hours to get there.
Why did it take now this is a different driver. Why did it take 2 hours?
Driver. We stopped twice, but I don't know why.
You stopped twice for what?
To go to the restroom, because
Twice?
it was taking.
Twice they got to stop and go to the restroom? How do you girls not figure out to go the first time?
Well, they did go the first time, but I think
they had
he
to go
was
again.
lost.
They were that drunk. They were drinking that much that they had to go twice in 40-something minutes. Because really,
no,
seriously,
it didn't
it's a
take 40
45-minute drive.
It took 2 hours.
Well, no,
to
it's
get
okay.
there.
But
and I was in the back seat. I couldn't see where we were going because the wind.
Let me see the
very
original
tinted.
affidavit from the first driver. So go on.
Anyways, we get there and it's Latin night, and I thought that it was going to be 80s night. So
you get there and it's Latin night, which is not your thing, and
right,
you
but we're
wanted
already
80s
in
night.
Tampa, so I decided to go to Asia, which is another club over there.
Okay.
And we get there and it's full. So we decide we're not getting back in the limo. We're going to walk over to another club. So we walk over to the other club. We stay about an hour. It's kind of slow in there. Then we decide that we want to leave. We say we're going to go to the International Plaza. He got lost on the way to the other place, and it's not that far. So we end up at next to a gas station. I say, can you pull over? We're going to use the restroom and get resituated. We pull over. It's a good thing we did, because he starts throwing up on the street. He doesn't excuse himself. He starts throwing up on the street.
Maybe he didn't have time.
I said, "Are you okay?" And he said yes.
And he says that in the affidavit, that he got sick on some
us.
fast food.
Right.
Okay.
And then he's going to take us home. I don't call and complain or anything. I'm really busy that weekend.
Okay.
So I get married in the 10th. The 10th comes along. The driver's there about 9 o'clock. I see him in the lobby. I tell him I'm going upstairs to get ready. I'll be down 9:30.
And then what happens?
There's an ATM next door. He calls Troy and asks
Okay, so
him.
first we have the problem with the ATMs,
Right.
and then they accommodate you and drive you to an ATM. But what's the first thing that goes wrong from your perspective? Because he says the first thing that goes wrong is that one of your groomsmen said, "Blank Colonel Sanders," only he doesn't say blank, and that, which is abusive, and people shouldn't have to put up with that. So did that happen?
If that happened, it was before I was downstairs.
Okay, did that happen?
I was at the ATM, so
Okay.
could have.
All right, did you find out it happened? Did other people tell you about it?
Well, I mean, based on the whole situation, we were kind of getting the whole gist of everything. Yeah, that it was working out as a bad night for both parties, their party and our
Okay.
party.
All right, did everybody have a lot to drink?
Yes, and I
Okay.
do apologize if you were offended or if somebody said something when I was not there.
Okay, so go on.
Okay, we got lost 20 minutes, took 2 hours to get to Tampa on Friday. So I explained to him, I'm upset, I don't want this to happen again tonight. We only have 3 hours, I'd like to go hang out at a lounge. So he explains this to him, that we would like to start the time over. I mean, if he wants to include the 5-second ATM run, that's fine.
But guys, do you understand that over 20 minutes you guys just bagged on the whole night? Well, it's not the 20 minutes. From your perspective, all that went wrong was 20 minutes. But from his perspective, he's standing there for all that time, taking the curse words and the rowdiness that you acknowledge was happening and that you're attempting to distance yourself from by constantly telling me that you weren't there when it happened. I know you were there when some of it happened, guys. So at what point does a driver have a right to say, no, you know what? That's not part of our deal. At what point? You think he's just too sensitive?
Well,
And he's got a low threshold?
Possibly.
Or do you think that maybe your guys were a little out of control? Because it's not even they don't have a dog in the fight. It's your limo.
Right.
So your groomsman has a lot of nerve, tipping the scales when it's not his fight. Did she slap you?
No, ma'am. No, she did
Was
not.
she fighting with you?
No, in fact, we were all, crowded in this limo, and it took us 40 minutes to go to a bank and then back in a big circle back to the hotel.
Well, that's why you should be planning beforehand. No, the bar you're going to has 80s night and not Latin night. To have a potty break beforehand, drink less so you don't have to stop twice. Sure. Everything you're complaining about, other than the first limo driver throwing up, which apparently was a scheduled stop anyway. Everything you're complaining about is your disorganization, and then you're mad and you want free time. That's goofy.
And welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So can a driver say, you're out of here if the people are screaming and swearing in the limo and still get his money?
No,
Why?
because I feel like it's not right.
Why isn't it right?
Because they paid their money and they paid all the things that they needed to do.
Yeah, but isn't the point, aren't the people being so abusive that the driver can say, hey, I'm not doing this anymore?
I think it depends if the driver set down rules beforehand.
Well, you don't say to somebody you can't swear and you can't scream, but I mean, it's kind of common sense, right?
I think you're renting the limo to have fun, and it depends how it goes, but I think you shouldn't be charged if you're getting kicked out.
You shouldn't be charged if you're getting kicked out. Interesting. Okay, going inside the courtroom.
Let me ask you something. I've got a situation where Tony explains to me, look, I stopped and I assessed this and I said, I don't want to go through with this. And then you authorize returning their money. You are here in court today to sue for the very money that you returned to them, other than the $20 champagne glass that somebody apparently took. And you signed a contract, by the way, that says that's how much a champagne glass will cost.
Not on the 10th.
What, huh?
Not on the 10th, not on the wedding night. On the bachelorette party, she signed a contract for the 8th,
Is there
but
a
not on the 10th.
contract for the 10th?
Contract for both nights.
Can I see it?
Yes, you certainly can. And there's a lot to that. There was a lot of misstatements.
No. Well, here's what I want to know. Did you and Tony agree that the best course of action is to cut our losses, get rid of these people, hand them back their money, and everybody go their way. Yes or no?
Yes. I never planned that they weren't going to be responsible. I wanted him to give that money back for his safety's sake and for the condition of the limousine.
That's what we call cutting your losses.
Right.
It's a cost of doing business. You know, that's the essence of a settlement agreement, is that both sides give something up. So I can't even get into whether they're jerks, which I think they are, and whether they were abusive, which I think they were. And, you know, I don't think you're jerks in your normal life. I just think that night maybe everybody had a little too much, and that'll happen. Okay? And when it does, there are consequences. But I can't just say that and say you've earned your money, because you've created a legal consequence by standing out there and cutting your losses and telling the groom, here's your money back, and the groom accepting it. I can't pretend the settlement didn't happen. And based on that, my verdict is for the defendants as to the $215 for the limousine services. As to the stolen champagne glass, I don't know that I can trust your testimony on where that champagne glass is. I'm pretty sure I can trust his. $20 verdict for the plaintiff.
Well, so the plaintiff has won $20 for the disappearing champagne glass. So come on in here. Step in a little closer. Right this way. What's your feeling on the outcome here?
I'm happy with it.
What are you so
agree.
happy about?
I mean, I agree that he should get the $20, and I agree that I don't owe him any more money.
All right. Well, what about the way your party behaved there? You got any regrets about the way you abused that guy who's in the hospital now?
I don't have anything to say about that, do you?
I feel bad for the guy. You know, definitely didn't mean him any kind of harm, bodily or physical harm. But, you know, I mean, I guess it's the way it is. Rowdy people get rowdy. That's why people get limos.
Yeah, that's what they're there for, to be abused. So how's wedded life, and
It's great.
how's it going?
Yes,
Yeah. Who
wonderful.
does this talking in this outfit? She does?
I do.
All right, head right down this way, and you might get slapped again. I don't know. Right down this way. All right, come on in here. What do you think of the outcome of this case?
I agree with it, in you know, the sense of when she says it from a legal standpoint, I guess it's okay. But I also think we still did the right thing by refunding the money at the time, because I didn't want the vehicle to get hurt or Tony to get.
Well, you
to get
do
hurt.
understand that your agreement with them at the time constituted a settlement of the case, right?
I understand it now. I didn't know it then.
Mm-hmm. Do drivers get abused on a regular basis like
They
that?
do, but not usually this bad.
I mean, that's part of the job?
It is part of the job.
Over to Harvey.
Okay, Kurt, this is called an accord in satisfaction, which basically means they settled it, that each side got something, each side gave up something, and once that happens, you can't reopen the dispute. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.